Brian, welcome to the club, first of all.
Thank you.
Great to have you on board. Tell us a little bit about your career and what you've achieved so far.
I've obviously been in football for 30 odd years. Started off, I was 25 years of age, and I got put down to Ayr United to run it, and I was thrown in the deep end but told to learn everything from the bottom up, which was probably the best thing for me. It's probably the best bit of advice I've ever had, and I was at Ayr for 10 years. I was out football for a couple of years, and then I went to St Mirren, where I was there for almost 9 years. Got the opportunity to go down south, which I fancied a go at, and moved down to Shrewsbury, and had a good 7.5 years there too. But I decided, like last summer, I think you can be somewhere too long, and that sounds ridiculous for somebody who's been at 10 years and 9 years and 7.5, but I think it was just time for a change. So I decided I needed a fresh challenge. So obviously I'm now here in Motherwell.
What was the process like from you becoming the new chief executive of this club?
Yeah, I spoke with Jim. I spoke with the executive board originally, and then I spoke to all the members of the Welsh Society board too, over 2 meetings, which I thought I actually really enjoyed, because I'm a great believer in fan engagement, and I think the Welsh Society, everybody should be really proud that this football club has got such great involvement of the supporters as well. So, after that process, I was then offered the job, and because I was available to start quite quickly, I've packed my bags and moved back up the road.
It's been no secret at Motherwell there has been some uncertainty off the pitch. Is this something now that you're looking to rectify now you're in post?
Oh, definitely. I think the club needs a full-time chief exec. Obviously, since Alan's left, probably a couple of years ago now, or a year and a half ago, I think it needs that in football, and that's no disrespect to Derek who's done it, because Derek's got his own commitments too, but for me, there's just so much going on at a football club on a day-to-day basis. We need to drive the club forward, which is so important. We need to work with the supporters as well, which is massively important to me, and basically just try and improve all aspects of the club. However, there are a lot of good things going on at this football club. In the last couple of weeks, prior to me coming, I've learnt a lot of how the club's been run and things that are going on behind the scenes, and there's a lot of positive stuff there too.
You've been in post now 4 days. Your first day was on Tuesday. What are you looking to achieve in the short term?
I think the short term is just trying to pull everybody together. For me, it seems a bit disjointed, and that's just me being completely honest, between the club, the fans, the staff and the Welsh Society, and I think we need to try and pull everybody together, because at the end of the day, we all want the same, and that's success for Motherwell Football Club. So hopefully, I've always engaged with supporters groups and supporters throughout my career, and I think it's really important to be honest and straight. I've always had my email address available to everybody. If anybody's got anything they want to ask me, please just email me, because I'm an open book, and I'd rather speak to people straight and be honest with everybody. But I think there's a real opportunity here of pulling everybody together and try and jump on this bus to move the club forward.
If that's the short-term vision, what's the long-term aim for you? I
think the long-term is continued success. I remember Motherwell Football Club as always a top 6 club through my time at St Mirren especially, and I feel in the last few years it's not really achieved what it should have done. So hopefully I can help Stuart and the staff at the club as well, the football staff too, with my experience and hopefully contacts, having worked in England as well now for so long. We can try and improve things, and that's not me interfering with players, because that's not the kind of chief exec I am. I'm very much the manager decides how he spends his budget, and the manager decides what players they recruit. So I won't interfere with that, and I've told Stuart that. But hopefully going forward we can just try and pull everybody together and long term just improve any aspect that can be improved, because you're always striving to improve things.
It would certainly appear you've been thrown into the deep end. Obviously the club released a statement this week with regards to an investment proposal moving to the next stage. Can you give supporters a little bit of insight into what the timeline looks like for that going forward?
Yeah, I think that's that's going to be I'm not saying a quick process, but certainly not a slow process. I think that everybody's keen. I've spoken to the US investor even prior to coming to the club. I think the exec board felt it was important that I think obviously I was identified as the preferred candidate for getting the job. So they asked me to speak to the US investor. And I think that's been really good because I've had a number of contacts and a lot of calls with him as well to actually, I think he needs to understand what I'm about, and also I need to understand what they're about as well. You know, investment in football is becoming quite common, especially in England. I've seen it obviously in League One. Majority of the clubs in League One are actually owned by foreign investors. And yeah, there are some rogue investors there, but you know, I would trust the exec board and the Welsh Society, you know, who have done all the due diligence on the potential investor, that it's the right thing for the football club. And obviously if there's somebody willing to invest in Motherwell Football Club and to help improve things, then it's a win-win for everybody, for the fans, for the club, for the staff. But obviously I think it's small steps. At the end of the day, everything will go to a vote of the shareholders, so they will make the final decision on the investment. But I think it would be remiss of anybody at the football club not to look at any options whereby potentially new funding come in. I think there's been no secret of where the budget's at in the league, and if we can try and augment that with some new revenues from wherever, we'd be stupid not to look at it, as long as it's right for the football club and as long as it's right for the Welsh Society and the fans as well, because the most important thing is, you know, the football club and the fans, because the fans are here forever.
It was mentioned in that statement that the investor is looking to work alongside the Welsh Society. As someone who has said that they are big on fan engagement, how important is that for this deal?
It's massive. It is massive, because at the end of the day, any investor needs to engage, and that's, to be fair to him, he has done that. I understand he's had calls with the Welsh Society as well, which I think is great. And it's just, you know, the impression I get of him is that it's an open book with him, a bit like myself. You know, let's just put the cards on the table and be honest with each other and work together to try and improve things. But having that link with the Welsh Society, and I think with the fans as well, we need to just move everything forward, whether it's with the investor or not with the investor. You know, we need to try and move forward. And it's going to be a process. I think Jim said it'd probably potentially be 6 weeks before we can get, it's at heads of term stage, whereby it's a list of this is what's been agreed. It's then getting that into a legal framework. Then at that point we can then go to the shareholders, and they can vote and decide if they think it's right for the football club. So the good thing from that is everybody's getting an opportunity to make that decision, and that's not normal for a football club, because most normal football clubs have one particular owner or a board of 2 or 3 or the majority shareholders who would make that decision without any engagement with the fans. And I think we're in a good place for that, because all the major decisions like that are being made by the supporters.
Moving on, there's not a long time left in this season. Summer is just around the corner. Have you spoken with Stuart, and have you got that plan for recruitment and the next season? Is that all in place? Have you
well,
planning that?
Stuart, actually, when it was announced about me taking the job, Stuart and I had a conversation on the phone. I hadn't met Stuart before, and when I started on Tuesday, he said, I've got Nick, our head of recruitment, coming on Wednesday. Is that okay? We just spend a few hours just going through their plan for next season, which is great. You know, Stuart's a good guy, good type. I've heard a lot of people speak highly of him. Obviously, I've only known him for 3 or 4 days, but you know, worked well together, and he seems to, with the work that they've put in to date, and that has been since August last season, about next season, identifying the players that potentially we would need to go forward and try and improve the club, because he's keen to do that. And like, we had a 3-hour meeting on Wednesday morning on my second day, just talking about, I was explaining how I work, and he was explaining how they work, and it's all about, again, it's having that contact and close working relationship, which, you know, I've probably spoken to Stuart between meetings, calls, over the last 3 days, probably, I don't know, 20 times. So it's good. You soon get to know somebody quite well when you have that level of contact. But that link is so important at a football club. The link between the chief exec and the manager is massive. And hopefully, you know, I can work closely with Stuart and his team and make things better.
Back to present day, Brian, there's obviously been a little bit of concern about our game against Dundee this weekend. Can you just confirm where we are at in terms of that match?
Yeah, this has been a bit of a baptism of fire this week, to be honest with you, because I've spent most of the time on the phone to the SPFL in Dundee about a game in April, which I'll not go into it, but basically the SPFL are really keen that we play the game this weekend. A number of scenarios have been put to us, which one was, for example, if the game goes off Saturday, we play Sunday, and if the game goes off Sunday, we play Monday, which is just not practical for the football side of it. One was we play at Airdrie behind closed doors, which is just nuts for me. We're a spectator sport. We have to look after our own supporters. We have to make sure they're at the game. So our position has been quite clear to the SPFL that this is nothing, not our fault. This is nothing to do with this football club. So why should we be have the hassle of it all? So our position quite clear is that, we play Saturday at Dens or we reschedule the game at another time. And if that means that the post-split fixtures are delayed, then so be it, because playing behind closed doors is just a ridiculous opportunity for me. And I think if it goes down that line and they try and force us into doing that, we will just stand firm and not do it. And I think Scottish football will support us with that, because I think it's not our problem, but it's becoming our problem, which unfortunately I'm quite vociferous about that this isn't right, and when something's not right in football, I will say it.
So just to confirm, and just finally also for this interview, an update will be provided tomorrow morning when the pitch inspection is completed?
So basically they've hired covers from Celtic's, rain covers. I'm not quite sure how that works, because I've never seen that in place. They covered the pitch yesterday after the pitch inspection on yesterday afternoon. The pitch was obviously deemed playable yesterday afternoon. Their issue is, ideally we would have another pitch inspection today, Friday, but the issue then is you take the covers off and it was raining. It could potentially, the rain now gets the pitch, because it does take a few hours to put pitch covers down and up, back up again. So, and then the other issue is, well, if you do it Saturday morning, you don't want to do it too early and take the covers off, pitch is then playable, and then the game goes off because it's got 3 or 4 hours of rain on it. So I kind of understand their dilemma with that. So they've said that the only thing they can really do is start lifting the covers at 10 o'clock and 10 o'clock and do a pitch inspection at 11 o'clock, which is, listen, it's not ideal for anybody, because let's face it, the team will be in Dundee by that time. It's not great for supporters either, having that kind of thing. You'd think in April, when I get a bit annoyed when I hear with what we've spent in our pitch, and other clubs maybe haven't done the same thing. And I think that's, it's whether you invest in your infrastructure, you invest in your football pitch so you get games on, so supporters can attend games. And I look at that a wee bit differently than how some clubs might not be doing that to the same extent. And it's frustrating for me that there needs to be maybe a bit more regulation on pitches. We all spend money in closed seasons doing renovations, but if clubs aren't doing the renovations that are required, then it opens a can of worms and it causes problems, which we've obviously seen this season.